Testing. Okay, so it looks like bears are coming in here on the power hour after having quite a day. Looking at SPY, bulls have had control all day long. Looking like we're starting to have some bear volume coming in at the end of the day, which it would just be some hour consolidation here, hourly consolidation, which we're in need of. And let's see. Yeah, really starting to pull back here. Put this window up so it looks there. You can see all this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go and take a look at some of the tickers that I was requested to look at. Starting with Facebook. Let's see what happened today with Facebook. This is some earlier charting which I had on there. I'm just going to turn it off for a second. So today we have a higher high and a higher low. So that looks good for bulls, but this pattern right here could be setting up for a bear flag. So you have to just be cautious of that if you're in this position already. A bear flag would be like a few more days, but then we'd form sort of a flag pattern. Then we usually break bear off that pattern and continue down for further downside. So we are looking like sort of a little head and shoulders-y on the hourly. But so the drawings that I had here was from the big move. And of course, we know this pullback is driven by news and by events and everything like that. But it's always such a coincidence that the news and the events comes during a pullback, and we've already started to pull back, then the news and the events happen. It's just like, which one comes first? Who knows? You be the judge. But okay, as you can see that we pulled back from the top here. Since the COVID dip, it's been nothing but bulls all the way. But all the way up for every part of the move, we still had sort of a healthy pullback. So it was a healthy chart all the way up. I just ran FIBS from this last move here. And the reason why I did that was because we've started to pull back pretty heavy. And from that last move, we did have a break right here, but then we came back into the same sort of trend line that we were following. So I ran it on this last move, and we could pull back to this 318 area based on the FIBS 0236 pullback. And then that aligns with the monthly EMA, the monthly EMA 12, and that also aligns with the SMA 200 area. So I don't know. I'm liking that for a pullback, 318.45 between 317 and 318 area. But like I said, we don't have to do that right now because it looks like we're starting to form what would be a bear flag. So we could be basically, bulls could rule this for a few days and then we might have some bears step in and we might play out with that bear flag. So I would just be cautious of that bear flag. And okay, so that's it for Facebook. I'm going to move over to, so I've been taking a look at Bitcoin, which if you're in the Market Gamers Discord, it's been rallying for a while here. And I've been posting these charts all the time. So this is the daily chart. We broke off this SMA 100 here. And this is inverse head and shoulders. And so yesterday I posted this chart in the premium chart section. We were breaking, since we had this huge move, I think we are in need of some daily consolidation. And so I ran the FIBS on this move. And I can see us pulling back to somewhere around this 61.8 area. And that would keep us in a healthy uptrend. But now there's no guarantee we're going to pull back. But if we break this 52.956 level that I have highlighted here, then we would probably continue on to that pullback area. And I like that area because, again, it coincides with the SMA 200, which SMA 200 on the daily is something that we often pull back to during retracements. So if we hold this 52.956 level, then we could continue up. Bitcoin's always been hard to chart, but lately it's been sort of doing what the rest of the market does in terms of the technical analysis rules. And that's, I guess, because big money is in there now and they're using the same set of rules. So it never used to follow those rules, but lately it's really been following those rules. So I'm actually getting a little bit more interested in kind of checking it out because I might be able to chart it a little bit. So, okay, so since Bitcoin is kind of on the radar here, we're going to look at another one that is sort of runs a little bit with Bitcoin. It doesn't look that similar. I'm going to turn off these drawings here. It looks a little bit similar in the way, but when Bitcoin was hitting huge highs yesterday and we closed strong yesterday, BTBT was pulling back after hitting new highs. But so it's obviously not directly correlated with Bitcoin. And then today we filled a gap. So we had a gap that I was watching here. We filled that gap and are starting to bounce. Oh yeah, so first of all, there's a couple things I found here I wanted to point out. One was this trend line. So this trend line in the past has been support, support. And this is a wonky chart. It's pretty volatile. So after we bounced off the support, huge bounce, we broke pretty hard through the support, but then we went right back through this trend line again, and then we've come back, and now it's just, I still like the trend line because every time we're fighting to get through this trend line, you can see we fight through it, and then we get through it hard. We have a big move right through it. So then we bounced off of here, and we fought through it here. It took a few days to get through here. So I still like this trend line. Even though it's not always on the bottom, it's an area of resistance and support throughout the history of this chart. So we'll keep an eye on this trend line because we are starting to pull back here after this recent big move. But another thing I noticed was a possible golden cross coming, which a golden cross is when an EMA or like a moving average, a lower moving average is moving up to cross a higher moving average. So I'm going to turn the rest of these off. This is the SMA 50. And if we continue sort of going sideways for a little while or even in a little bit of an uptrend, this is the SMA 200. We're going to hit a golden cross. And golden crosses are historical for having big moves. If I turn them all back on, you'll see what happened on the last golden cross. Because we had a golden cross on this chart. Right around well, here is a golden cross, but we had a golden cross here. It's pretty much at every big move on this chart. Here it is here. So the EMA 26 and the 12s are crossing the 50, and that's when we have this nice big move. So keep an eye on this trend line and keep an eye on those EMAs, SMAs for that golden cross possibility. Don't be afraid to type in the chat if anybody wants anything analyzed. Let's go take a look and see what's happening right now. Okay, so like I said this morning, in the Discord, we have this big gap left below on SPY. I just ran FIBS on it because it coincides with filling that gap. So you can tell I run that a lot. Huge bull move today, well, since yesterday, and now we're just having some hourly consolidation, which we're pretty due for. So we'll see how far we pull back there, but it looks like bulls might be showing up for the power hour. Fighting our way back over this SMA here. Okay, somebody asked me to take a look at NAKD, NAKD. So I'm going to analyze this one. And it looks like bulls are showing up for this one too. I have this big trend line here throughout. And NAKD's dropped, like completely jumped off this trend line. We've pulled back. We pulled back right to this good FIBS level. 23.6 or 0.236. That's a FIBS level that we pull back. These big, huge moves, that's the level we always pull back to, somewhere around there. So looks like we pulled back right to that area and then past it, and now we're starting to maybe start to move back in that uptrend. So I watched this trend line, and we're bouncing off this SMA 100 as well on the daily. So keep an eye on that. You can see that. All these levels line up, and that's when a bounce usually happens. The SMA 100 lines up with this FIBS level, and then we get a bounce. So this chart's looking good. As long as we can hold in this trend line, we can just bounce off this and continue on for another up move. Uber. Hello. We didn't forget about you. Hi. Okay, so Uber. I was asked to look at Uber, and this chart is tough. So there's a big gap down here, and I would worry about holding this for very long just because of this gap. Gaps don't always get filled. I mean, if you look at SPY, people will tell you, oh, look at SPY, gaps don't always get filled, but then eventually they do. So it doesn't mean it's going to get filled now, but I don't know. I'm a fan of them being filled. But the definition of a gap being filled is trading immediately following the gap or before the gap. So we are pretty tight. We are here in that gap. So it might not fill because it could be classified as being filled right here. So anyways, that's enough about the gap, but it looks here. So we've gotten over that SMA 100, which is nice. Put on the other ones because I like to always have them on there, but I don't know if they're too much for everybody to look at. Yeah, so I covered the gap below. So we were going sideways after struggling with this SMA 100. And I'll show you, we were in this EQ right here. And today we broke out of that first thing, but we're pulling back now and heading down, but the RSI is getting pretty oversold here. So its 5-minute RSI is 21. The 15-minute RSI is 30. So when we're oversold like that, look at that head and shoulders. When we're oversold like that in the shorter time frames, you can be looking at a possible bounce coming soon, but it depends on what's happening on your longer time frames. So we're not even close to oversold on the hourly. So I'd be watching the volume here, watching how far we can go. Lately, we can go down to RSI and the 5-minute being like 10. So I wouldn't be jumping on any oversold bounces like right now. The 5-minute RSI is 21. If the hourly RSI were in the teens, I would say yes, this is definitely going to bounce soon, but the hourly RSI is just under 50. So I wouldn't be looking for any bounces at this point, but eventually a bounce should be on the table. I don't know if this is news driven or not, but we had like a gap up and then we're pulling back. Uber long. Yeah, somebody was asking for Uber long, and I'm saying I would wait to play that bounce till at least our hourly is oversold. I mean, we're still in a decent hourly uptrend here. But I have a couple concerns. That's this big gap down here. And we also had a big move. We had a big move from yesterday. I'm going to run this in the hourly because it's easier. And we're pulling back from that move. So if you want to play this bounce and go long, look around this area, 46.75 area. See if we can hold around that area. Or wait till our RSI gets really super overheated and go in for a bounce. Okay, so where were we? Does anybody have any other tickers? Because I think I did all the ones that I had on my list here. Let's go look at the ones that I did in the video the other day. Clove. These are all the ones that I had posted that we're going to break out. So Clove is right, but like we've tested that level, which is the breakout level 756. We tested that level today and we never got over it. We slightly got over it and we're pulling back, which is what I said. Like we test the level, we get through it, then we retrace, and then we look for a retest before we enter. So Clove is almost there. LI, that one was really, really close, so I entered that one right away, and it's been breaking out ever since, and it's doing pretty good here. Past P2, we hit the second price target, but I'm still in it. I don't like this gap below, but I'm still in it, and because I only had one add, so I'm looking to add more, and if we go to fill this gap, that's when I'll add. Fubo, I haven't added this one yet. We got through that area which I was watching, 2407. We got through there so quickly. I was waiting for us to retest and come back and retrace, and we didn't. So I basically just considered that I missed that, but it looks like we're starting to pull back here. So this one might still be on deck if we get a good pullback. And after that move, I hope we pull back at least to that 24.58 area. So if we can pull back to there, then I would look for possibly starting a swing there. DDD, I know this one's been on the radar. I felt like I missed this one again today because it went right through that level that I had on watch, 27.26. We got through it, but then we pulled back pretty good. So right to that level. We pulled back right to this level on the FIBS. 26.49 I'd like to get back to, but it looks like we have an hourly double bottom here. I'm watching this one. I'm going to wait till tomorrow and see what happens with it. Is it not quite an hourly double bottom? An hourly double bottom I would think we would probably be continuing up. But there's no hourly double bottom here, so I'm going to wait and see if we can pull back even more before entering this one. AMC, here's the level I was watching here, 38.10. We got through that level, pulled back really nicely. Now let's see if we can retest it again. This might be ready for entry tomorrow if we have good market conditions tomorrow. And then we have DLPN. That one broke out right away from what I posted in the video. And today we are pulling back. So I definitely missed that entry. And we're pulling back here. Let's see where we could look for an entry here. Well, it was about 13%, so we could pull, it was only about a 13% move, so we could pull back right around to this area, 1275. So I'm going to keep watch for that area to possibly look for entry into that one. Let's go look at all the other sectors, see what's happening today. If you guys have any tickers or anything you want me to do, just type them in the chat. I'm watching it. I wanted to look at solar because I saw solar was stronger when SPY was weaker. And we formed this nice bottom right there. There's our bottom in solar for now. And it looks like we could be breaking off a falling wedge here. Or just a channel. Yeah, no, it's a falling wedge. Looks like a decent wedge. Slight break of the wedge here. So solar's looking pretty good. You can see these are all my sectors here. They're all looking good except for gold is red. Cannabis is looking okay. We're starting to get a little bit of upward movement there. Tech, big gap up. So another gap here to fill for QQQ. These are the rates, like real estate's looking good. SP 500, big gap up. So possible gap fill at some point. The VIX has been dipping, so volatility is going down in the market. Biotech, we've got a double top here, 125.31 today. So we'll see if biotech can clear that. Biotech's finally starting to get some strengths back though, so it looks like the strength is going across a lot of the market. XLF, so this is the finance. You can see what's happening here. We really got a decent gap up today. Holy. I was making this channel and you can see we jumped right out of it. This is what I like about TradingView because it saves basically, like I have it on autosave, so it saves everything that I chart and I go back and I see, oh, I charted this, and then I can see exactly what happened very quickly. So healthcare, strength again today, higher high, higher low, a little bit of a gap here as well. In the metals and the mining, not that much strength. Looks like we have a double top here as well. I've drawn this for metals and mining because we've been falling in this wedge for a while here. We're testing the top of it. We have a double top testing the top of this. So like I was highlighting the other day, when I look at all these sectors, then this gives me ideas of companies to look for and companies to chart. Because if I see the sector ETF looking like it's falling in a wedge, then I'm going to go looking for falling wedges in that sector. Because when you start to see this one breaking from the wedge, then the ones that you've found that might be more extreme wedges, they will usually start to break from their wedges as well. So this is the one I was watching, the travel sector, because we had strength when SPY was weak, and we did pull back, which was expected. So we've had the pullback that I was looking for, and now let's see if we can get some strength after today. Because we did change the daily trend here, and it's still looking pretty good. And let's see, okay, so I'm probably just going to go till 3:30. Do half an hour. What time is it? Oh, okay, we got a few minutes left. Telecom broke out of this wedge huge big gap up. So then I'd flip over and look at these telecom sectors. If you're looking for a short, some of these are going to fill the gap and it's going to be a decent short. It's going to be a good spot to look for puts, anything like that. If you see these gap ups happening, like in the leisure and entertainment sector, we've had a big gap up. Higher high, higher low. But the gap is notable. That's something that we will likely fill, especially since it's across the board. Okay, so consumer discretionary, big gap up, higher high, higher low. Lots of strength here as well, but big gap below. And that's consumer distress. Look at uranium. Uranium's doing pretty good here. Higher high, no gap. Higher low. We're breaking out of this wedge right here. Uranium plays are something that I would start scouting for possible some long entries there. And here we are in energy. Energy's just non-stop bulls lately. We had this big move, pulled back a little bit, and here we have another higher high, another higher low. Lots of strength in the energy sector. We busted to all-time highs there, and we pulled back a little bit from that, but it looks like we might be hitting, is it all-time highs? Let me just double check. Oh, no, it's not. It's not all-time highs. Pre-COVID levels, that's what it is. We're working on getting to pre-COVID levels here. Through this resistance again, weekly trend change. That's what we're looking for here. If we break through this resistance and close the week through that, then we'll make a weekly trend change, and that can be really big for going long in certain tickers in this sector. Okay, so I will go, I don't know if anybody's interested, but I'll go and show you what's happening with the volume. I'm going to run a screener. Let's see. I'm going to look for some spiking tickers. Tickers that are spiking on volume right now. I do this sometimes at the end of the day when people are asking me to find tickers that are going to possibly run post-market. It might be a little early, but I would do this usually around 3:45, something like that. So I'm going to look for some spikes. So basically what I did here was I came into the filters and I went to relative volume, and I want to see any tickers that have 8 times relative volume. So 8 times their average volume. I want to see that, but I want to see that on this time zone, like in the hourly time frame. So if they've had 8 times the regular hourly volume, they'll come up in this screener. And I haven't refined it at all. You can go and refine it for the different sectors you want to see, or, you know, the market caps and things like that. So we can see, this is basically what I do at the end of the day. So, but right now I have it at the hourly. So we can go over RNAS and just see what's happening with RNAS. And this is a good way to, when I'm scouting my runners, see, look at this one, RNAS. I look at the end of the day to see what's going on. If volume's coming into this one, then I'm going to add this one to my list because I like it because it's getting some volume at the end of the day. Hold on, I've got a list here somewhere. High volume Thursday. I do these weekly, so they always have tickers in them. That was this morning's tickers were from pre-market, but I'm going to refresh that with what I'm finding here. So we had a big hour today. So probably some news. Look at the amount of volume this one has. It's up 10% only in the last hour. So I like to look at this chart because we're starting to break out of this wedge here. So that has my interest. And that came off of that one screener. So let's go back and see what else here. VGSH. Some of these don't matter, but you just go look at the charts and see what's going on with them. When I buy, no, I don't typically do options. I typically do shares. But basically you can play options or shares. I look at charts. So I'm going to tell you which charts are going to look good. And then if you want to buy options on it, like I know we have an option guy coin in our group. He buys options all the time off of the charts that I post or the setups. Like I'm more of a breakout style. So if I see something breaking out, then he'll buy options on it. So that's not really my thing. I've tried options a few times. I find that I prefer the shares myself. So where was I? VGSH. Yeah, I don't like the volume in this one. Average volume is 1 million. Today we have double our volume, but it's just a overall not a very liquid ticker, not enough movement, so I wouldn't be interested in this one. But this one's on board, but it's a young chart too. So, but I'm going to keep it on watch here. None of these look any of interest, but let's go see what's happening in the last 30 minutes. So, of course, we have more, but these are coming up with higher than 8 times average volume in the last 30 minutes. Okay, so when you run this screener and you're running it closer to 4 o'clock, this is going to give you some clues as to who's going to start running, because big money are going to pile in before the pre-market volume is so low that they're going to make such a huge difference. So they want to get in when the volume's there. So if you're looking for after hours runners, this is how to find them, which I found is pretty good. You have to be really kind of diligent with it and just come in here and keep looking for these volume spikes. And then usually I'll stick them all on the list, and usually one of them will show up on my post-market screener as well. So OPTT, let's go look at that one. I'm going to add it here. This is a decent chart after being really hurting for a long time. It's not bad. It looks like a falling wedge breakout, which is what's happening a lot in the market, so I'm interested in that. And we just broke off this bull flag, so this is pretty good. And that bull flag, I just found this from the screener, so I would watch this one, see if it pulls back, or watch this one to be an after hours runner. We can even go further. We can go to the 15-minute time frame. And another thing I look at, though, if you're going to do this in TradingView, is look at this rating. Like, especially if you're doing this for post-market, you don't want to get stuck in any of these strong sell ones because typically they'll just dump. So look at the rating and just get into the strong buy ones. It's an easy way just to know, okay, this is a decent ticker. So if we go all the way down to 15 minutes, this is what I run at the end of the day. This one's strong sell, and I would even move this. So we're at 8 times, so we'll move it down. 5 times average volume in the last 15 minutes. This is kind of what I would run right before the close. So if you're looking for after hours runners, I start to run them now, and then I run them later on, and I just keep doing them. And then when the same ones keep coming up, then eventually when you want to get into your extended hours, so we're not there yet, but you flip this back to your daily time frame, and then you just come over here and just look for post-market volume. We're not there yet, but hitting that would, when we're in post-market, would shift everything up to the highest post-market volume, and you can just keep clicking that or keep refreshing up here, and then you'll see who's starting to run. Then if you want to play after hours, then those are some tips on how to do that. Okay, so it is 3:30, so that's it for today. If you guys want to do this next week, I'm going to start a schedule for, I think, Tuesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. and see how that goes for a bit. So if you have any tickers in advance, you want to post them in the comments or post them in the Discord or anything like that, then I can analyze them and get them ready before the live. Okay, so thanks guys. I'll talk